Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition. Here are the headlines. The Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its consistent position and rejects the last London court decision. Training closure on international trading. And for the international news, the government resigns. Putin proposes a new prime minister pardon. Hello and welcome again. In a press release dated 14 January 2020, DP World Group announced that a sole arbitrator ruling under the auspices of the London Court of International Arbitration rendered a new award on 10 January 2020 in its dispute with the Republic of Djibouti following the termination of the concession contract for the Dorale Container Terminal on 22 February 2018. The decision is not surprising. It is merely the consequences of the iniquitous speculation of the concession, which would oblige a sovereign state to disagree its national law, to revive the concession terminated for a reason relating to the best interest of the nation, and to do so exclusively for the benefit of a foreign company. The Republic of Djibouti could not, under any circumstances, accept such a decision handed down in proceedings in which it had not participated and which flouted the rules of international law. Those rules allow a sovereign state to terminate any contract for a reason invoking the best interests of the nation in return for the payment of fair compensation. In this conflict, the Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its consistent position since February 2018. The termination of the concession for the Dorale Container Terminal, which had been awarded in 2006 to DCT Dorale Container Terminal, a joint venture between the Djibouti International Ports Authority and DP World, was decided in a legislative framework previously passed by the Djibouti Parliament on 8 November 2017. The operation of the terminal through the DP World Group had proved to be contrary to the fundamental interest of the nation. Its continuation will have seriously harmed Djibouti's economic and social imperatives by placing unacceptable limits on its development policy and giving a foreign company total control over one of its most strategic infrastructure. The container port of Dolari has not been exploited by DCT to its full potential in order, obviously, to preserve DP World's operations in Dubai. Since the end of the concession, the port's activities has increased by 30%. Despite several attempts to renegotiate the concession initiated by the government in application of Djibouti's law, the DP World Group has continually refused to listen to the government's legitimate demands to rebalance an intrinsically asymmetrical relationship in order to allow its citizens to benefit from the terminal's efficient operation, rather than comply with Djiboutian law and accept the state's proposals, both at the contract renegotiation and post-termination compensation stage. DP World preferred to initiate a veritable judicial and media guerrilla war against the Republic of Djibouti and its partners. To this end, DP World did not hesitate to use DCT, of which it is only a minority shareholder, to serve its own interest and to contravene without the slightest scruple the decision handed down by the Djiboutian courts in strict compliance with the principle of contradiction. These courts appointed a provisional administrator in place of the corporate bodies of the CSD and annulled the resolution of the board of directors, which, under pressure from the DP World, authorized that company to initiate the arbitration procedure that the DP World Group is now invoking against the decision that it unilaterally obtained. In any event, the concessions contract has been determined a public enterprise specifically created for this purpose now manage these infrastructures, and there can obviously be no question of imposing on a sovereign state any co-contracting company party what is more to operate its strategic infrastructures. As the Republic of Djibouti has consistently stated since the concession has been terminated, only a fair compensation outcome in accordance with international law is possible. The state of Djibouti remains today, as in the past, willing to negotiate the terms of a solution satisfactory to all parties, but cannot accept arbitrary condemnation that disregard the interest of the country in so-called independent expertise, which can in no way serve as a financial basis for an agreement between the party. And now we remain in the same matter, where the chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abu Bakr Omar Hadi, commented today during a statement he made on national TV, commenting on what came in the press statement of Dubai Ports World and explained it with arguments. On the other hand, the head of the Port and Free Zone Authority, Mr. Abu Bakr Omar Hadi, in response to questions from journalists, said that the Djibouti government was prepared to compensate Dubai Ports World for the fact that Djibouti had refused to go to the British courts. Another subject, Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil received a visit this morning from the President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Mrs. Gabriela Cuevas Baron. The President of the IUP was introduced by the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Mohammed Ali Ahmed. Discussion between the Prime Minister and the President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union focused on ways and means of strengthening cooperation and partnership between the Republic of Djibouti and the Inter-Parliamentary Union. The Prime Minister welcomed the President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Mrs. Gabriela Cuevas Baron, who thanked her for her welcome despite a busy schedule. The Inter-Parliamentary Union is an international organization which is composed of almost all parliamentaries in the world, including the Parliament of Djibouti. It acts to strengthen parliamentary diplomacy and bring peoples closer together. Mr. President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Ahmed, welcomed Mrs. Gabriela Cuevas Baron, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, to the National Assembly on Thursday, 16 January. The Inter-Parliamentary Union is an international organization which is composed of almost all parliamentaries in the world and which works to strengthen parliamentary diplomacy and bring peoples closer together. The visit of the IPU President coincides with the holding of a capacity-building workshop for young parliamentarians currently taking place at the National Assembly of Djibouti. Mrs. Cuevas Baron, who is making her first official visit to Djibouti, warmly thanked the Speaker of the National Assembly for his welcome and expressed to wish to visit the country on a future visit. In her address to the young parliamentarians of the national representation, she stressed the importance of increasing the representation of women and young people in parliaments. According to the IPU President, women who make up half of humanity are only 24% represented in parliaments worldwide. Likewise, there is a need to improve the representation of young people in parliament so that their voice can be heard more clearly. The IPU President warmly congratulated Djibouti on the very important progress made in these areas. And now, today, Thursday, the Minister of Housing organized a workshop to present a report of the diagnosis of the strategic vision for urban development in the northern municipality of Balbala and to provide a comprehensive study of the implementation by the International Bureau of International Studies. The event brought together officials from the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Economy and Finance, the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the Secretary of State for Decentralization, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Interior and Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, in addition to members of the International Bureau for International Studies. This project is part of the implementation of the elimination random neighborhoods, the rehabilitation of old neighborhoods to improvement of the living condition of citizens living in this municipality and to strengthen the capacity of northern municipality of Balbala. Since the northern district of Balbala is home to 60% of the capital's population and the percentage of citizens' housing needs has doubled. And now the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, shared this morning the end of the training on intercultural communication and international negotiation that took place at the Institute of Diplomacy. The training of intercultural communication international negotiation is organized in partnership with the IGAD, always concerned about the performance of its staff in order to effectively serve its member states to achieve the objective of economic integration with funds from the European Union. A training on negotiation is truly a cross-cutting issue. It is useful in all areas and at the levels national, regional, and international. This training was attended by executives from public administration. The closing ceremony was attended by the Director General of the Institute of Diplomatic Studies, Ali Musa Migag, the Director of Agriculture and Environment of the IGAD, who is currently acting Executive Secretary of the IGAD, Mohammed Musa Mohammed, the Ambassador of the European Union, Aidan O'Hara. The Ambassador of the European Union to Djibouti an opinion on the readiness of the department he heads to work alongside the government. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, sponsor of the meeting, Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf, expressed his pleasure to participate in this valuable meeting. Another subject, Health Minister Mohammed Warsamadiri yesterday presided over a ceremony to launch the country dialogue on 2020-2022, financing with the Global Fund to fight HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. This high-level meeting took place at the Sheraton Hotel and was attended by Acting Secretary General Dr. Meeke Mohammed Musa, the chairman of the Multi-Sectoral and Inter-Partnership Coordinating Committee, Mr. Ahmed Saad Sultan, the Djibouti Portfolio Manager of the Global Fund, Mrs. Emina Rai Florentes, all partners and organizations of the United Nations system, as well as representatives of civil society and the private sector, led by the AMCC. The objective of this country dialogue is to promote permanent consultation around an inclusive debate on the financing of the fight against the three pandemics. And at the end of this national and pottery consultation, the CCMI will review all the technical aspects of the preparation of funding requests in collaboration with the delegation of the Global Fund to come up with solid proposals that put the beneficiaries at the heart of all intervention. The chairman of the IMCC, President Mr. Ahmed Saad Sultan, urged the mobilization of all to finalize the final stage of the 2020-2022 financing process. In his speech, the Minister of Health thanked all the partners in the health sector and in particular the Global Fund that supports the country's effort to combat the tree disease and build a strong, sustainable and resilient health system. His Excellency Ismail Ibrahim Roble, Minister of Labor in charge of administrative reform, received in audience the German ambassador to Djibouti, Mrs. Anke Holstein, at her office this morning. The meeting was held in the presence of the Minister Close Aides. On this occasion, the Minister commended the excellent friendly ties that exist between the two countries and assured them he will take all necessary steps to further strengthen them. The Minister then gave an overview of the various areas of cooperation with Germany, particularly in the field of employability and integration of young people and the training of public servants, particularly language training. For her part, the diplomat reassured him for her willingness to contribute to the realization of the vision expressed by the Minister of Labor. The place of the reports of the artillery regime of the Djiboutian Armed Forces hosted this morning, Thursday, January 16, 2019, at 7 a.m. a decoration ceremony for 10 Chinese military doctors from the Chinese logistic-based station in Djibouti, presided today over by Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. The ceremony was attended by senior ADF officials, as well as the Colonel commanding the Chinese logistics base and his close collaborators. Welcomed on arrival by the head of the Artillery Regiment Corps, Colonel Mohammed Hirsi, and Colonel Major Mohammed Qayad Gili, head of the logistics divisions. The CMGA reviewed the troops and then paid tribute to the flag by raising the colors. As it is traditional, officers, non-commissioned officers and non-commissioned members meet every Thursday at the place of the Grand Report to attend the raising of the colors. Thus, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim made a point of participating in this ceremony. Afterwards, the ACMGA addressed the troop to explain the purpose of his visit. Indeed, following the launching of the ORSEC plan due to heavy rains that damaged the habitats and the main access roads, the Djiboutian Armed Forces carried out humanitarian assistance operation for 5 weeks in favor of the disaster-stricken populations. To that end, animated by a sense of pride and courage, the soldiers of the National Navy have distinguished themselves perfectly in their assigned sector, namely Neighborhood 7 and its surrounding, by working to pump and the sewage from houses, digging trenches for the evacuation of stagnant water, clearing the streets, and clogging sewers, clearing rubbish and refuse, and all, above all, reassuring the most destitute people of their unfailing support to do so. They have spared neither time nor effort to help vulnerable population. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, satisfied with the duty accomplished, particularly wanted to congratulate them and urge them to provide more where needed. In front of the crowd, General Sheikh Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim spoke to congratulate them and urge them to get more involved. The CMJ wished them all the best for the year 2020 in the accomplishment of their assigned missions. He then congratulated them on the assistance task carried out during the recent floods in their affected area, namely Ward 7 and its surroundings. The CMGA, the General Zakaria, Sheikh Ibrahim Army Corps reminded them of their mission to maintain peace in the country and to defend it against external aggression. He urged the artillery regiment of the armed forces to work together with a view to maintaining national unity, the foundation of the ADF, which must always be consolidated and sustained. In his intervention, the CMGA recalled that without unity, there will be no peace, and without peace, there will be no development in sight. So this unity must be felt at all levels of the hierarchy, starting with the chief, of corps, and ending with the newly recruited soldier. Without this cohesion, the performance of any soldier will be significantly affected, concluded the CMGA. On the sideline of the ceremony, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim decorated 10 Chinese military doctors, specialists for their service to the nation, and particularly with the FAD in various medical specialties. The Chinese have provided expertise and support the pneumology department of the Army's military hospital. They have also invested themselves in the public domain by providing quality care to the local population. This is a testament to the excellent bilateral relations between the two countries in general and between the two armies in particular. In view of this, CMG wanted to thank them by decorating them with the Medal of the Officer, the National Order of 27 June for the Chinese Chief Medical Officer, and the Medal of the Ninth of the National Order to 27 June for the 9 remaining specialty doctors, a demonstration of the training of the soldier of artillery regiment following the acquisition of new equipment followed. Indeed, the artillery regiment has recently acquired new state-of-the-art portable radars detecting any enemy coming either from the sea, the air, or land. For the proper functioning of this equipment in order to preserve them, it is essential to train the users. This training was done by Chinese experts. In addition, a ground-to-air exercise was illustrated. It should be noted that the ground-to-air unit is newly created and constitutes one of the objectives of the Military High Command. And now another subject, Mr. Abdurrahman Ali Abdullahi brought together the members of the Djibouti Association of Travel and Tourism Agencies, headed by Mrs. Mako Hassan Bouh. On the agenda of this meeting, the Director General of the company wished the sensitive this association on the absolute need to give priority to the national airline and thus promote its place and its historic role not only in the development of the country, but also in the development of the country's economy. He also emphasized the national character of the company, which over the above and commercial profitability inherent in any other company carries the national colors. Hence his appeal to give priority as much as possible to its commercial promotion among Djibouti travelers and national and international tourism promoters. The number one of the national airline stressed the importance of this partnership, which is of capital importance to him in the development of the company. For her part, Mrs. Mako Hassan, president of the Djiboutian Association of Travel and Tourism Agencies, said she was honored by the invitation of the management of Air Djibouti for this partnership, which according to her should be a win-win situation for her, who comes for the historic staff of the national carriers Air Djibouti. The commercial potential exists and only needs to be better understood in order to succeed in rebirth of Air Djibouti. Mrs. Mako Hassan emphasized the imperative need to respect the quality of service offered by the company to its passengers' destination and to gain market share compared to its competitors. It should be recalled that the Djiboutian Association of Travel and Tourism Agencies is made up of 8 travel agencies. Mrs. Mako Hassan emphasized the imperative need to respect the quality of service offered by the company to its passenger and to gain market share over its competitor. It should be recalled that the Djibouti Association of Travel and Tourism Agencies is made up of 8 travel agencies. And now the director of Air Djibouti, Mr. Abdurrahman Ali, was delighted with the partnership between Air Djibouti and the Djiboutian Association of Travel and Tourism Agencies. This partnership will be beneficial to the boost of the transport activities of the national company Air Djibouti, which deserves many countries. And now the Bulhouse Secondary School, in collaboration with the sub-prefecture of the first arrondissement, organized an awareness-raising workshop on the involvement of parents in the schooling of their children. The workshop was chaired by the sub-prefect of the first arrondissement, Mr. Abdi Hassan, and the principal of the college, Mrs. Hawa Awale Osman, in the presence of parents and the heads of the neighborhood councils. This occasion was part of the effort of the management of the Bulhouse College to combat delinquency among the students of this educational institution. During this workshop, participants discussed effective ways and means of addressing the challenges that impede the educational process. It should be noted that the administration of the Bulhouse College has additional courses outside the school to improve the student abilities and skills in the French language. In an intervention by the sub-prefect, he stressed the importance of this sensibilization workshop for the benefit of students in order to improve the level of students and to obtain support for student issues in order to achieve the objective of this educational institution. Mr. Abdi Hassan mentioned that this meeting highlights effective ways to overcome the obstacles that hinder the educational process of students. Mr. Abdi Hassan recalled on the parents to support and sustain those in charge of preparation to help students to learn and love education and to follow it so that the student can accomplish his or her duty and know what needs to be done. The Association for Solidarity and Ecology of Dikil organized at the CEM of Dikil a ceremony of donation of uniform clothes and teaching manuals for about 15 pupils whose parents suffer from mental disabilities. This ceremony was attended by many officials of the Educational Corps, including the Regional Inspectors of Education, Mr. Warsama Omar, and the Principal of the College, as well as the Regional Representative of the Minister of Solidarity and many parents of pupils. On this occasion, after the distribution of the uniforms and textbooks, the regional inspector, the principal of the CEM, and the parents in turn thanked the ACAD Association for this noble action and urged all the social actors to do the same for the benefits of children whose parents are persons with special needs. Moving now on the international news, after the Russian government announced its resignation, Vladimir Putin nominated Mikhail Mishustin, the director of Federal Tax Service, for the post of Prime Minister. The nomination was accepted by the official. Now it is up to the country's parliament to approve the candidacy. The candidacy of the head of the Russian tax department will be presented to the Duma on Thursday, which must then validate it. Addressing both chambers of the Russian parliament, Vladimir Putin proposed the idea of the appointment and approval of the prime minister and members of his government by parliamentarians. This measure will come into force if the constitutional reform he has proposed is adopted. This reform will not, however, call into question the presidential nature of Russian power. Dmitry Medvedev announced at the meeting with the head of state that the government as a whole was resigning. This statement was made after the president listed a whole series of fundamental amendments to the constitution in his message to the Federal Assembly. Later that evening, Putin signed the decree on the resignation of the government. It comes into force on the day it is signed. And now in Africa, Cameroon will host the final phase of the African Cup of Nations from January 9 to February 6, 2021. The president of the African Football Confederation, Ahmed Hamada, announced Wednesday from the Cameroonian capital, Yaoundé. CAN 2020 was initially scheduled between June and July, a period coinciding with the rainy season in Cameroon. For this reason, in particular, Cameroon had made the request to bring forward the organization of the competition, CAF, after an inspection visit led by its president since last Monday, has finally set the new dates of this important meeting of African football. In November 2018, the CAF had withdrawn the organization of CAN 2019 in Cameroon, among other reasons for the latter's inability to put in place adequate sports infrastructures. And this is it for this news. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful afternoon.